Good evening. Welcome to Monday night. Happy Valentine's Day. Apparently, I'm the only one who got the memo to wear red tonight, but I do want to thank you all for taking time out of your Monday. We really love the fact that you joined us. We really are admiring the dedication you took on your night. And if you're doing this with your loved one, man, they are dedicated as well. That's all that I'm going to say to that. John is on some legal drugs tonight, so no disclaimers for him. That is his disclaimer. So if he says something a little off the wall, mentions some software that should never exist, some band that it was highly overrated, it's okay.
I'm missing my Huey right here. There's the show. I mean, in the background of my set, there's two things. There's the album, and then there's the show program from a concert. And I mean,
I thought that was your garbage can.
I thought he just used it to tear away the mice.
Oh yeah, okay, thanks guys. That's
You're welcome.
See, I love the support that we get.
Yes. Listen, when they start paying for this show, I'll give them more support.
I guess that's the time I'll quit the show. I don't know.
No. It's okay. But no, tonight we are going to be talking about love. We are going to be talking about things that we love as far as DJing. And so it might just be John and I. MJ's
got a lot to share tonight.
I've gotten creative with the love stuff. So you'll be surprised.
Okay. I feel better now.
So I think we should start talking about it tonight and build off really what we saw last night with the Super Bowl at the halftime show, because I think this has been really, with halftime shows, has been a very polarizing, i.e. people either loved the halftime show or they were like, this was one of the worst, the top 5 worst or top 5 best. And I think that the reason for that is because the people who grew up with that type of music and were at that optimal age, that is something of that music and genre that they absolutely love because it was there during those impressionable years.
Yeah, MJ, absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, MJ, I know that's probably not in your wheelhouse, that harder music that doesn't have violins and, banjos.
Wait, you consider that hard music?
Violin and banjos.
Wow. I was just surprised by all the FEMA sheds that they had in the middle of the field.
No, they stopped at Containers Are Us and picked up their road crew on the way.
That's the FEMA sheds.
Oh my God.
It did look like that, but then when someone had looked at it and said it was kind of like a neighborhood, these are different houses in a neighborhood.
What it was intended to be, right?
And it's like, yeah, that's kind of a cool thing because that almost has that New York feel. Obviously, it wasn't a the brownstone type housing, but that everyone's right next to each other and they've got these family units going on and life in there, but then they can all come out and be together for. So it got that.
John says New York, and every one of the artists is from the West Coast.
I know, but that was my bet. You go to the West Coast, and I don't think you see that type of housing there as much as you do on the East Coast.
San Francisco. Have you not watched Full House? Like they would always show like the houses like boom, 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 boom.
And yet the set was so large that there's absolutely no way you could make that set in a house that's only like 14 feet wide, which is very common with San Francisco type houses.
Well,
unless you
LA,
have the MJ wide camera, if you've got that, you're in good shape. We were talking about your.
Keep in mind that nearly half of all of the homeless in America live in California. So
it's at least a warm enough spot to be.
That's probably why. But
yeah, because right here, if you're that way in Minnesota, you're awful cold right now. Awful cold.
Yes.
So let's kind of talk about music that we love. I think that we'll kind of branch off of that Super Bowl thing, and let's kind of dive into that. And by now, I think we should be up to MJ's disclaimer.
My disclaimer is y'all keep picking topics that make me seem grumpy because I still am having an issue with this whole DJ world that we're part of because it just all seems so pointless. I don't see it the way everybody else does. I play some songs, I collect a paycheck. I I don't set a morning alarm. That's pretty much it. And that is one of my starters for things I love, is the fact that I don't have to set an alarm. That's very important to me. You know, but aside from that, I just don't get off on this business the way other people thrive off of it. I could probably be doing more videos like we've talked about. Like last week after the show, we talked about it, and John and Dan tried to be like my little cheerleader or my friend supporting me. I didn't want to call you both cheerleaders because I just do not want to picture y'all in skirts. But
dude, I was a cheerleader in college.
For real?
For real. Not in a skirt, obviously.
Missed opportunity.
Comment section, feel free. I'm gonna dance around that. Yeah, like I have room to talk. There's several videos out there of me in hammer pants. So come on.
That's true.
Yeah.
And the whip and the ponytail.
Yeah, the ponytail. That's right. But no, seriously, this is a business that people love for different reasons. Vastly different reasons sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to hit on those tonight. You know, and I that's my disclaimer, is that if you don't agree with one of us, there's probably someone else you're going to agree with. Or if we don't hit on the thing that you love, definitely mention it in the chat.
So back to the question of music. What styles? I know this answer, but because we've talked, and of course mine is like a naive and novice type of understanding of it, but not necessarily for playing. But what is the style of music that you tend to tune to for your own enjoyment?
That would be thrash metal polka. It's a new genre I'm trying to start.
Yeah.
We might be able to win the Grammy with that one. I don't think there's a lot of competition. We might pull it off.
Also, I hack on the Grammys every year, because those of you think that the Grammys are something great. They're 150 randomly chosen professionals in the industry that pick the Grammys. It's not by person being liked. It's not by popularity. It's a random people that call themselves experts in the business. So your job could be writing album notes, and you could have a vote on what the best band of the year is. And people are starting to realize that the Grammys are a joke. And this year was the absolute lowest viewed Grammys ever. And I'm happy about that. Speaking of music that no one listens to, I love anything dancey, 120 to 130 BPM. I like a lot of like down-tempo house, instrumental house. But I'm going to be honest with you, DJing has ruined music for me to where legitimately 75% of the time, I don't have music on anywhere because I just can't stand it anymore. That's why I say I have trouble with this whole DJing thing, because it's just like, it has really ruined everything for me. So if you love music, don't become a DJ.
Well, and I was thinking about that for people who were listening to last night and were saying, "Oh my gosh, this was great," and you were seeing comments of, "Oh, my wife and I, we were up dancing to the music from that era in the late '90s," and I think that part of the reason why that people got excited about that is that those songs, while great songs and they had their power and they were there for a while, is that they haven't quite come back yet. I mean, yeah, occasionally, okay, California Love, you'll get a request for it, whatever, and Snoop was used here and there. But I don't think they have been overused quite as much as they probably will be in 2 to 3 years.
I know we're going to start playing them again soon, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm sure that we're going to...
every single Super Bowl, whoever performs, we got to start playing that for the next couple of weeks till the people shut up. Sorry.
But in the same respect... yes, in the aspect of them resurgence, and we'll have that to a degree, but in the same respect, I feel like there's still been that good reaction. So the reaction that you saw from, or whether it was on your Facebook feed or whatever, to where in that positive aspect, that was something that if you happen to grab one of those songs and throw it into your mix, was getting positive reactions prior to this. I definitely don't think I would have done a set of all, five of them, of the throwbacks, in the same set. Wouldn't have thought necessarily about that, but grabbing one or two different times, absolutely, it's definitely worked in the past, at least for the events that I've done.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to have more people branching into either some of, Dre's got a couple of songs that were used back when we were playing that type of music, or even some of Snoop, if they're going to dig deeper into their catalog, and we're going to get people requesting some of their music that at the time we couldn't play, specifically some of Snoop stuff at high schools because he was viewed as a that he was he was smoking pot and whatever. So some of the schools were really down on him. I wonder if we're going to have a resurgence and usable type music now because people are in a different place than we were 20 years ago.
I think even just the fact that it's more of a throwback, it's more of a classic, opens up that window tremendously. Certain songs that in the moment it was like, oh no, can't touch that, can't use that song because of connotations either from the artist or whatever, that suddenly you take it back 10 years or in this case over 20, and suddenly it's like, that's really not bad. Mm-hmm. That's a classic. Like, it's a classic. We can go ahead and use that. I mean, like, think about Party Up, DMX Party Up. Just the lyrics in the first verse alone are enough that I almost cringe half the time when I go to play it. But in the same respect, it's like nobody seems to turn a blind eye to it, or nobody seems to, be awake to it because it's a classic. And so I have a feeling that because we're more removed, you have that more flexibility, that more freedom, that people just don't care as much.
And twice during Dan's little comment there, people who are into like the classic bands of like Zeppelin and stuff are cringing every time that he puts the word classic with rap music. They are freaking out right now.
That's all right. I didn't say classic rock. I didn't say
classic you understand rock. People when they hit a genre, classic is this, nothing else. Nothing else can be classic. Shut up.
Fair enough.
You're just that old. That's all.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, get off my lawn, you.
Don't get me started.
So let's get in. Let's get a bridge off now. MJ made a great point, and I think as DJs, and I've been there, and there's a level of music that I don't listen to today because I'm sick of that type of music. The kind of things that we had been playing week in and week out on a regular basis. And I think that's a real thing for a lot of DJs, that if you play a lot of high school dances, unless you're listening to catch up on what's the newest thing with the charts, you're probably maybe not, for your personal enjoyment, listening to the top 40 charts. You're going somewhere else. And I think that's a kind of a universal maybe, or a higher percentage of us do that. And it's interesting when you start talking to DJs where they go. We talk about that sweet spot of when you're from like junior high to high school is your favorite music genre, typically was when you experienced it at that time. My personal self, that would have put me from, like the early 80s till, right across the 80s spectrum, from the early 80s to the end of the 80s. And if I'm going to put something on in the house, I mean, if the kids would come around here and you'd ask them, they would tell you I'm playing old music, but it's from the early 70s type of a thing, as opposed to that. And I wonder if that's something that is fairly common, that DJs even go farther out of that favorite years, that they would go to something that was unique or different, that they may have had their prime years in the 80s, but now their favorite is the 90s type of thing. I don't know.
I think this is my opinion of it. There's a lot of DJs out there that kill their own job because they're playing music that was like, oh, this was good music when I was you don't understand. To those people, it's old music.
Yep.
You have to disconnect from good music and bad music. You really have to disconnect your definition of good and bad and play what the audience wants. Because good and bad is different to every single person all the time.
But to John's point, I think when it talks about us just listening for our own selves, like I agree 100% when we're talking about playing and the difficulty that can create. But I think when we're talking about the, for our own listening pieces. So my sweet spot is going to be in the 90s. And what I've found a lot of times lately is I'm listening to more of 2000s. I'm listening more into that throwback in that aspect than I am going all the way back to the 90s. Do I like the 90s? Absolutely. But I almost feel like I'm done with it. And a part of that was because maybe 5-10 years ago, that was what I was playing a lot of at weddings. was because that was what was, you know, current, that, or not current, that's what was rather the sweet spot for, thank you, the hot for the couples and the wedding parties. And so now that I'm kind of burnt, so I almost progress newer than my sweet spot, and try and stay maybe a good couple of years ahead of even what would be the sweet spot of the couples that I'm currently serving, so I'm not burnt out.
So you're really, what you're trying to do is you're trying to follow the flock of birds in your hunting.
I want to be ahead of them.
Head of that flock of birds. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at the restaurant where somebody else killed the bird, cooked it for me, and now I'm going to eat it.
And they've told you exactly how it's all going to go and what you need to do. This is it.
It's like I said, it's to everybody. If you want to say what, I mean, I definitely consider myself more of a 90s person than an 80s person, but I'm not going to listen to 90s. I'm going to listen to like newer sets of house music where it's like the whole album thing or the whole song thing. I don't get that. Like, oh, so-and-so's album. Don't give a flying crap. If I like this song, I like this song. The rest of the album, on my experience, sounds nothing like one song. Everything's so different, I can't stand it. So that whole thing, forget that. I'm just going to listen to some DJ's set on house music somewhere, and that's it. Just let him pick the songs, and probably in 10 minutes shut it off and turn on like wave sounds from the sound machine. I'm sorry that I'm so tainted. Robin already gave me a sigh emoji in the chat. It's just not, I can't explain it to you. My set, like I told you, I got creative, all right, with my set of things I'm happy about and love. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things I love about DJing is that I don't have the ability, or have I ever needed to use Megaseg, Serato, Record Box, or Tractor. I love that. I absolutely love that.
All the important things. So let's
flip it. You're on the wrong side.
Sorry.
Oh,
he's so darn excited about getting a drink finally.
So let's continue on that direction. Let's talk about the technology that we have. Specifically the software and the capabilities, more than just the mixing software. There's a lot of the technology there, and there's got to be something. Obviously, MJ Virtual DJ is a program that you definitely enjoy using, and you love that software for your. Okay. Are there other tools in that digital realm that you find very appealing that you utilize on a regular basis?
My third one, because I told them guys, I made some funny ones and some serious ones. My third one is a funny one, but it is serious, and it does have to do with that. I'm happy. I love the fact that I no longer have to use records or CDs. I don't have to go to record stores. I don't have to buy CDs. I don't have to burn CDs. So the whole technology of having the MP3s and the computers and stuff like that, that I love that fact that I have that freedom just to piece things together. So instead of having to go out and buy an album for one song, or buy a CD for a song, or buy the maxi CD, or whatever word they choose to use at that time and force down my throat, I don't have to do that. And that's one of the things with this technology, how it's changed and how we get music as DJs, I really like. So,
and that was actually one of the ones I was thinking of, is that the music delivery capability that we have at our hands nowadays, where it would be, I got one version on this CD, and then I got another one, from this company on their CD, and then there really wasn't a lot of other options out there unless I was using LimeWire or Napster, when that became available. Otherwise, you got what you got, and that just the ability to search, find things, and even if you're just buying things on iTunes. Sometimes there's a dozen different versions of a song on iTunes already. So that capability is one of them that I absolutely love.
I want to throw one in on that exact same level of what we're talking about, is like the Shazam type programs. If you don't want to know a song, you can Shazam it and then go buy it later. I think that whole technology of identifying songs to then go and get. And people who let me in cell phones so I can reach over DJ's shoulders and take pictures of the songs they're playing. It's so funny because I was going through my list of songs and I'm like, I can't find some of these. And I went back to the DJs that I thought I took the pictures from, and they're like, that's not my song. That's not, and everybody was like, I don't know, where are you getting these? I'm like, I thought I got them from you guys. And they're like, none of these are our songs. I'm like, who the heck am I taking pictures of? So that whole technology, I love it. So
yeah, and I will agree with that. Like one of my lists right at the top was controllers. Now that was more on that side of it, from the standpoint of they're a heck of a lot lighter than carrying a dual deck CD player along with its mixer and the CDs and the cases for the CDs. Like you think about all that weight that went into that, and now controllers are by themselves extremely light, even the ones that are massive. Now, of course, you do have things that have the motorized turntables, and that's a different story. But the controllers in general have gotten to be so light. It was actually kind of funny. So I was doing some cleaning up as I was flipping the room here, and I came across my MC6000 MK1, and I picked it up, and I went, "Whoa!" The weight on that, it fits in the 19-inch rack mount, and it's probably as deep as a 7000, if that. It's probably much smaller, and yet the weight is probably twice what like a 7000 was, and it just completely threw me because I was not expecting it. I expected to grab it just like any of the other ones, and it took me back. But so even the controllers themselves have kind of continued to get lighter. Their cases, no, but the controllers themselves, yes.
Preach.
I'm gonna throw it in every chance I get.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot in that technology that some DJs get upset about. That it's not real DJing, it's not this and that. Whatever, dude. Seriously. I mean, because I think of using DJ equipment as like a car. We all want to use we want to drive what we want to drive. Some of us don't need a truck. Some of us need a car. Some of us need fuel efficiency. Someone needs seating room. So it's not going to be the same for everybody. So if you offer me a new car or an old car, I'm going to say, I'm taking a new car. Screw that old car. So I don't want to go on a turntable, because to me, I heard a friend of mine say, I don't like controllers because they just look like toys. And I go, yeah, and I don't like turntables because they look like antiques, and you look like an old person stuck in your ways. They didn't like that. They never asked me back to DJ again after that.
Yeah, probably not so much now.
And then they bought one. I had a friend of mine literally said one day, and this was about 2006-ish, he said, first time I ever see one of those in a club will be the last time I ever DJ. What does he use in a club? Bam.
Yeah, the controller.
Whatever, dude. I am seriously going off on tangents tonight. I apologize.
That's okay. That's because next we should head to the gear area and talk a little bit about the type of, maybe some of the improvements in the gear, things that we love with that, or if there's a certain type of gear that has become something that and obviously controllers are a part of that discussion. But I want to actually talk about one of the things pieces of gear that I like that I'm going to be bringing back this year once again, probably the third or fourth time, is that 20-inch mirror ball. That retro mirror ball effect has gone away, and it's one of those. Okay. It's that mirror ball is just something that every time we brought it out over once in a while here and there, it still gets the ooh and ahs, and you've got those nice 20-inch mirror balls that and the stands and a nice pin spot. That was one of the things I didn't have a decent pin spot to justify that 20-inch ball at some of the shows. Well, this summer I'm in venues where this is going to be a perfect fit. So this will be a year of doing that, because of all the lights I've had, intelligent lights, moving head, scanners, whatever, that silly mirror ball effect, and we used to just have a 12-inch mirror ball we'd use, has the one that had gotten the most wow and the most comments over the years. So I love my mirror ball, and I'm going to be bringing that one back for this year's weddings.
Okay.
Dan?
I will not be bringing back a mirror ball. And in fact, I used to have one here somewhere.
I have a friend of mine that has two 24-inch ones, and he's like, "You sure you don't want one of them?"
No.
See, and I think you've got to have the right situation in that, because this summer I do have events where they would work. Last year or so, we were outdoors, we were under tents and different things, and I'm not going to have it where there's a wind coming under the tent and the ball is swinging, because then all of a sudden the dots are like woo 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 as they're going around. Next thing you know, I've got a room full of seasick people.
Everybody's doing this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if they're drinking and doing that, that's one thing. But when they're doing it because the mirror ball is making them seasick, that's probably a bad.
And see, part of the, and one of the things I love is part of the reason why I would not go back to a mirror ball is because I like the simplicity of a quick set and a quick strike. Sure. And so one of the things that I love when it comes to the lighting has become like the all-in-ones. I haven't switched over to the gig bar moves or the gig bar, 1-2, whatever. I'm still using a 4-bar wash, but I like the idea of basically I put a stand, I put the light on, and I connect power and maybe a wireless DMX or a DMX cord, depending upon how I'm deciding to run that night, and I'm done. Like I'm not taking time, because I remember when I had my mirror ball, I had it on a chain, I had to put it on like a tripod over here, and I had to put the spin spot, I had to set that up over here, and I had to make sure the two shot each other. And like for me, like I think that's awesome that you want to do that, and I do agree with the fact that the look creates a different feel, because you don't have that piece being used really by anybody anymore, with some exceptions, obviously. But I like I said, what I love is the fact of then that quick strike and the way the lighting has developed to basically be that we want a whole light show and we can put it together, and I don't have to set up 20 tripods to do it.
Yeah, and I think that quick up and down is a huge thing, and that's also one of those areas. I think MJ's made his little quick system to go. I think that's become such a part of what we do now that you almost start to overlook it. And then when you have a show where you have a big setup, you're like, oh my gosh, this half-hour setup is killing me.
I remember one night doing a set somewhere. I was invited in, and they had, the guy had turntables and stuff, and I had a controller, and it was in a case, and I just flipped the case up on, clip, took it off the table, while he's over there just pulling cords still. And he's like, man, that must be nice. I'm like, yes, it is, actually. I will not hold back to try to make someone else feel, because a lot of guys choose that to have the look. That's fine if you want to, but don't hammer me in reverse because I'm not, living up to your look. If you want to choose it, that's fine, but don't try to guilt someone else into it, because I'll just throw it right back at you. One guy, I actually helped him pack his car up, and I lifted up he had turntable and a big heavy flight case. I lifted up. I said, did you lose a bet? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, to have to carry this around all the time? I mean, like, or someone forcing you? Did you lose I don't understand. Why would you? Oh, man, I like it. Whatever, dude. Sorry. More people in the chat are loving me. Yeah, Happy Valentine's Day, y'all.
Yeah, I remember the old our very first coffin where it took two people, all we could do to get that thing moved into a place. And yeah, now today that was heavier than anything that I have in my show. It's probably the equivalent to like a sub and a half, to weight wise.
There was a guy that used to spin at one of the clubs that I DJ'd at, and he would come in with 2 turntables, mixer, and an effects unit all in one coffin. And the thing was like almost as tall as him. It had wheels on one end, and he would like have it on his shoulder, wheeling it all, and it's down behind him with wheels. And I'm like, really? Every time he got in there, hey, who can help me lift this up? You literally had to have help putting it up on the table. I'm like, go for it, dude. So
Dan, talk a little bit about the look of the gear now. You talked about the fast up and fast down, but the look compared to what maybe was, has your feeling of today's gear and the look changed than what you did 10 years ago? Absolutely.
And I like the compact feel, like the compact look. And so the fact that we've really turned into, for a lot of our events, into the line array, whether it's the Evolve 50s, whether it's the RCFs, whether it's the American Audio, the line array look has really come along to the point that creating a great sound and creating that compact piece so that you're not, taking up a huge space. Like when I look back at the pictures of what I had when I first set up, so I was using 2 T-bars with an I-beam across the middle, so for my lighting. So I was taking up this huge amount of space. I had a huge 19 8-inch rack mount in front of me. I had, two 18-inch subs, poles with 15-inch tops, and I was running all this gear, for 150 people. And not to say that you can't, but I was taking up all this space. And then I also think about like the space that it was taking up in my vehicle going back and forth.
Right.
And now we've gotten to the point where things are much more compact. Like I love the fact that, for majority of my events, I'm using the Evolve 50s. I had the booth that I have, and I designed it to be able to carry both of those speakers, the basses and the tops, in that booth, along with all the gear. So I'm basically rolling in, pulling them out, and going with it. And I love the fact that that compact piece has been slick, sounds good. I don't care which one of the companies or which one of the models you're choosing, they all have definite benefits and improvements over where things were 10 years ago, especially in that style. And so being able to have those pieces is one of those things that I personally like. And I found that I get compliments from my venues in addition to sometimes the couples. Like I have venues that when I'm setting up, like they're walking by, like if they haven't seen the Evolve 50s before or something like that, they walk by and, oh, like I was expecting the big things. I'm like, no, here we go. We're good to go.
Quick, easy, elegant, and it sounds good.
Yeah.
MJ, as far as gear, from what you used 15 years ago to today, are there some things that you have today that you wouldn't go back to? You wouldn't go that direction? What are your thoughts with that?
Definitely don't want to go with a round play button. I have to be a square play button. I just love digging on people there. This is going to sound kind of contradictory to a lot of the people, but Dan talked about the small Denon one, and I remember being so happy with having something that small. And then I also had there was a small Newmark. Was it Newmark? I think it was Newmark. Small controller, and a couple other ones like that. And I never want to go back to something that small ever again. When I moved up to full size, it was like I feel like a real DJ again.
Sure.
Though that was nice to carry something tiny. I don't want to go back to something small like that. Lighter's fine. I have no problem with lighter. Just I don't want to go smaller. That's kind of my thing. And the stuff does the same thing it did 15 years ago. I mean, there's other than the fact that it's a little bit easier to MIDI map now, and I think the sound cards in the stuff are a little bit better.
Sure.
But
yep.
Yeah, I mean, little things like that. But I just don't want. I like the size of what I have now, like the 7000 or the Rain 1 stuff in that general size. Kind of fits that middle ground. I like bigger, but bigger means you have to carry more.
Yeah.
So I think this is that middle compromise between big and not too big, I guess is the way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the fact that it's not like I don't feel crunched.
That's the main thing. I don't want to DJ like this. I don't want to like a praying mantis DJing. I want to feel like I'm relaxed a little bit. They're like, I am your DJ. No. I always say the turntables should not be any smaller than your shoulders. They should be no closer together than your shoulders. So
it gives you room to function.
Yeah, you don't bump stuff as much. I don't know.
I will say one thing that I am so glad that we have completely, I shouldn't say completely, but almost completely gotten away from, and that's uplights with wires and DMX cables. Mm-hmm. I am so thankful for battery powered and wireless. Like,
can I throw another thing in with that, exactly what you're talking about, Dan? Because I don't deal with the wireless as much as you do, but the wattage that was required back there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That whole thing. It does not need. I don't need nostalgia for that. Oh. Yeah, LED lights for life.
I still remember. So when I started out, I was clueless, right? So I was taking to events for like par 56s. I think they were 56. Maybe they were even 64s. Like these were the big ones. And because I was clueless, and so I just went online and I found something, and that's what I ordered from. I think it was from PSSL or something like that. But there was like the really big ones. The heat that one of them kicked off, let alone having 4 of them, how I didn't blow breakers and everything else, because these weren't all. I also come to find out afterwards, like when I finally got rid of them, I didn't just have like the normal par 56s. I had like the specialty versions that had like the 500-watt bulbs or something like that, like something like really high. And so the fact, like, I didn't catch anything on fire, I didn't throw any up, I didn't burn any outlets. Like that happened, I still am shocked by it. But yeah, I do not miss the wattage or the heat that was kicked off by them, because that was the other thing. I couldn't, like, I would have to turn them off first and let them sit while I tore everything else down.
Yes.
Before I put them in a huge foot locker to transport.
Oh, the days of running an extension cord from this outlet, and then let's see, this is a different circuit, or no, we got to go into the auditorium and run a cord out from there, and then
don't turn on the coffee pot.
Yeah, so okay, I think we got it. So this light tree and this is side, the lights are on that outlet, and this side is on that, and we have a sound on another outlet. Okay, we should be good. And
yeah, someone we forgot to calculate in the hand blower in the restroom.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
That was one of the things that when I a few years ago, I decided to kind of look when I got the gig bars on what I was pulling and what I could possibly plug into. And I figured running the controller, the laptop, 2 K12s, 2 gig bars, I can run off not a business, but a house double plug and get away with that without pushing it too hard. And I thought, holy crap, not a business, but a house. I'm like, am I really only pulling that much? And numbers are numbers. You look at the LEDs, you might have 4 bright LEDs, but they're probably less than 100 watts. That's a single light bulb,
Oh yeah, that a system like you just described, MJ, you might be pulling 400 watts max.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that when you start looking at the wattage on a kilowatt with lights and LED lights and our more modern sound systems, how that's changed.
Yeah.
So let's hit one more area, and then we'll get things wrapped up here. Let's talk about the business side of it. And MJ, you kind of started off with one of the things you like about the DJ business. One of the things you love about the DJ business. And so let's start with yours again.
I didn't have this on my list until you just mentioned it right there. But I love the fact of the digital business side of things now, to where contracts, like I deal with contracts with the casinos. They're never paper. They send it to me digitally. I sign it on my phone, send it back digitally, keep a copy in my things. I never have to print anything out. So there's a lot, like I've not done a printed contract and I couldn't tell you how long. They're just not a part of my world at all anymore. So the whole back and forth digital, not having to be there in person, not having to print things out, being able to be paid digitally. Like, you stand there right there until it hits your account, or someone just going, if you open for me, I'll give you $50 or something. And they'll just slap $50 over. Don't have to worry about going to a vending machine, an ATM to get cash for somebody. Stuff like that has made the business side of it, like I said, at least for me, because I know some people still like to go the other route. They like to see the checks. They like to go to the bank. I mean, like, that's another thing. They send me a check in the mail for DJing. I just open it up, take a picture of it with my phone. I don't even have to go to the bank anymore. So that side of the business world has really made things better for me, for a person who's the artist who has trouble with the business side of the entertainment business. Because everybody forgets that half of the entertainment business is business, and it helps me a lot. The technology on that stuff. So,
good point. Yeah, I hadn't even really been thinking about the technology side and the contracts and things, but that's a great point.
Well, even just things like DJ Event Planner and the other ones that are out there that have just come so long, come so far to being able to speed things up. And I was so hesitant for the longest time of jumping on board. In fact, I've only been using Event Planner now for about a year. And I got on it last year. Tonight, I had a phone call with a couple. They were from Indiana. After that phone call, they said, yep, let's do a contract. I said, all right, let's get all the information. I said, as soon as we get off here, 5 minutes, I'll have it your way. 15 minutes later, I had a signed contract and the deposit paid. Before, that was like a 2-week turnaround.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, at least till you're like, oh, even if it was, I mean, in the very beginning, I was sending the contract through the mail with a postage paid envelope for them to send it back. And then I was like, okay, now I'm emailing it and waiting for them to send it back. Like the whole thing tonight from beginning to end. I mean, it hasn't even been 4 hours since I talked to them, let alone since everything happened. So just the fact that that turnaround was so quick, like that alone, if I could correctly have talked to myself back then, I would have done it sooner. But people have told me that, and I couldn't believe it. Like I should say I couldn't believe it, but I couldn't realize it made that big of a difference.
Right.
Until it did. Until it did.
And of course, I think the whole ability to meet and talk via Zoom and do things like what we're doing, that I think has been such a game changer, because you're able to really utilize your time much better, where you can go and you can talk with a couple, and I can click on at 6:59, we can talk at 7 o'clock, and we can talk for 20 minutes, and I'm back home at 7:21 type of thing, where there isn't that hour of travel to go somewhere and meet them, and having no shows and wasting a ton of time. And yet, because of the whole COVID thing, people are more comfortable with this methodology of communicating, and it's in some cases been really quite nice, because they've got their stuff set up so that they can communicate well. I've got things set up so I can communicate reasonably well, and we can have those experiences and again save a lot of time and money with travel. I don't get to drink as much Caribou coffee though. There is that.
I don't know what to say about that.
Coffee things.
I'm not a coffee person, but yeah, it's there's so much, like, to some people, there's a sharp learning curve if you're not a technology person. So if this doesn't fit you, these things we're saying you might not appreciate as much as we do. I do believe that I was talking to somebody the other day about how keeping the brain engaged helps you stay young and helps you stay active. And learning these things that we do in the DJ world, both the DJ software side of things, the business software side of things, all of that technology, if you stay with it, it does benefit you. It is very accumulative. So if you're not that person, take some time to try a couple of things. You don't have to go down the deep end like I do and spend a week out in the middle of the desert remapping something, or like lately I've been working on websites for the book and trying to learn all of these plugins and add-ons for WordPress that I've never used before, and having to let go of the fact that I did it all in HTML before. And now I'm like, I can't do that anymore, because I can't figure out how to resize the HTML for mobile phones, because that's where the majority of stuff is now. So you don't have to go that far. Try some little things in your life. Try the digital contracts. Try if you've not tried them. But I want to encourage you that if you want to be in this for a while longer, little things like that, they really, once you get set up, can make your life easier.
For sure. So I do want to get back to MJ. You started out by basically saying that one of the things that you loved about the DJ world was that you didn't have to get up in the morning. You didn't have to
set an alarm. Yeah,
you don't have to set an alarm. And I think there are little nuances, and it might be that can expand out to even self-employed type situations, but there are benefits to what we do. We have a flexible schedule, and back when Lori was DJing and with us as part of the team, that we were able to she was working at another newspaper at the time, and we were able to do some midweek camping because our work week for the DJ was on the weekend, and she would have a couple of vacation days from the other spot. That flexibility is a big part of why I think a lot of people get into this and really enjoy being part of it, is because if they need to take a day off, a half a day off, you can.
Yeah. Work in corporate America, because I've worked every kind of job there is, from factory to corporate America, outside stuff. And let's say you have something going on, like try to set a doctor's appointment around work. It's just not going to happen. As simple as that. There's just a lot in that. And that's when you talked about, no alarms. I literally have it set on my list there, set my own schedule / no alarms.
Yep.
And it's not for everybody. But for me, being able to look at my schedule and go, I need to accomplish this by this time, but Tuesday is going to be a very beautiful day. I'm going to get out and enjoy Tuesday and then work late the night after or before or whatever. So a lot of that puts it in my hands. And as a creative person, that gives me so much more peace than I can even explain to you, to where I'm not dreading stuff. Like I even look at like an average, let's say an average gig we do is 5 hours. Let's just throw that 5 hours. Even if it's not that great of a gig, that's less than an average person's single work day, and they've got 5 of them to do, and we're just there once, So there's little things like that makes it, like at least said for me, it lets me suck it up a little bit more, and I can get through things. And there's just a lot, the creative side. And like I said, you're all going to see this when the book comes out, because I'm going to start doing stuff that is contented around all of that, and you'll see where my MIDI mapping comes into the creativity. All of those things I consider being part of my creative life. All the mapping, all the making my own flyers, all part of the DJ business stuff. Again, you don't have to go down that road as far as I do, but I really love it. And a lot of that makes this why I enjoy DJing, not necessarily because of the music. I don't hate the stuff I DJ, but it's not my first choice. But I get to dance around I get paid to dance around for hours, sleep in, download new music. I mean, come on now. This is kind of a blessing. I don't look at the DJ business and I think it's all great. I'm a DJ. No, it's kind of part of my life. It's a part of the creativity. It's a part of different things. And like I said, if you're able to embrace that, and that's something that's in your heart, you're gonna fight for it a little bit more than just a place where you go and get some extra money. Mm-hmm.
And when we started having this conversation, this was one of the directions that, like, when you started going negative on me this afternoon, I just wanted to throw this in your face, because what you said was exactly the reason why I know you love DJing, is because it gives you an outlet for your creative side. Now, I know where you play and how you play, and the music you play might not allow you to fully express the creativity, but having that MIDI mapping, having the practicing that you're doing, having the just playing in your house, the love of DJing doesn't necessarily have to be a love of DJing for others. It doesn't have to be a love of DJing in a paid performance sense. There is the love of just playing and just, being creative. And that's right there, 100% where that love comes from for you, because you have that creative side and you get to express it in so many different ways.
The stuff I do at the casino, a friend of mine who does these big weddings, I've had him on the show, DJ Cadillac. We both got asked to do another casino over in West Virginia. They wanted to try some stuff out. And for me, it was like I said, I like to get creative in those atmospheres. I have fun doing all that. He comes back. He goes, those were the longest 4 hours of my entire life. I'm like, why? What happened? He goes, well, I'm used to weddings where I'm getting out there and jumping around with people. And he goes, all I did was mix. And he goes, I want to get the people involved. And I'm on the opposite end going, I'm happy because there's a separation between me and people, and I get to mix. So you have to find your niche. His is the people in that wedding, and he does so well at it. So if you find, like Dan, we talked about you being the performer and how you really do like entertaining that way. And if you can find that niche and make it work for you financially, that's a whole, there's so much to it. You can't just, things are not black and white, this way or that way. There's a whole lot of grays in the center, and you got to find your shade. And yes, Randy, I'm putting out a book. So there.
And so that was one of the things, like, so why I love DJing, right? My number one, I get paid to make people have fun and, make people feel happy and to dance. I mean, that's what I get a thrill off of when I'm DJing is, not the puppet master type of thing. Oh, I made you do this dance, but like just the fact that I get people up and they're having a good time, they're smiling and they're dancing and they're enjoying themselves. And, go back to Atlantic City. Now, unfortunately, you guys weren't able to join us this year, but when we did the chill event, I couldn't just play chill music. Like, I had to play music that was going to make people get up and just have a good time. And that's the direction when I play. Majority of the time, that's the direction I love to go, because when people start moving, it just makes me feel more energized from it.
So which album were you playing from? Were you playing from Sports or 4?
I will have you know, and I took a picture of it and sent it to you, that I did play a Huey Lewis track that night, and nobody danced yet.
I just want to say, Dan, you're not alone, because there was one night I was at the casino, and I'm scrolling through songs, and I think it was Harder Rock and Roll came up in the BPM range and all that, and I'm like, that'll work here. And I played it, took a picture, and sent it to John.
Yes.
So you're not alone there.
Cool. Let's see. Howie and the crew are up next out at DJNTV.com/chill. You guys can bounce out there. Tonight they're going to be talking about those situations where if the laptop, if you're having a problem with the laptop dies, gets stolen, whatever, they're going to dig into some ideas with how to handle situations like that. They'll be recording at 10 o'clock Eastern here in just a few minutes, so DJNTV.com/chill. And then after that, they'll open things up and everyone can jump in and chat and have a good time in the hallway room there, which is our chill room. So that's tonight. Then tomorrow night we're going to be doing. We're going to do our monthly training night, and it's going to be going from 8 until 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. But we're going to be doing, it's going to be a little bit different because we've got a variety of things that have happened. We've got some folks who have had family members. We had a family member pass away in one. Another has got a sickness, I believe, or did they have, I think someone's in a hospital with there. So we've got some things going on. So we're going to have Ben Stowe come in to start us off tomorrow night. And he's actually going to be talking about some of the gear deals that are going to be available that are going to be continuing into the Mobile Entertainment Expo next week. So for those of you who are into the DJNTV and here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern, you're going to get to hear these gear deals first, and you're going to be able to get in on them and get your orders in if there's something you're looking for. This is going to be the time to do it because they've got some great show pricing that's coming up for next week, but it starts for you guys who are watching tomorrow night on our channel. So DJNTV.com/virtual expo will get you the link. And then Brian Red's going to be talking building folders. Let's see, I think Rachel's going to be with us, and Jason Jani. I think Stacy and Superfly both had family emergency things that have happened here in the last about 48 hours. Unfortunately, so our thoughts and prayers are going out to both of them because they've got some things going on in there with their families. So that'll be tomorrow night, 8 to 10 o'clock. And then after that, then we'll be back in the chill room where the guys are going to be actually talking about some of the songs that we were talking about during the show and kind of playing those in the chill room and kind of leading a discussion around some of those and having some fun with that. So there we are. MJ, is this your week for a show?
I want to tell the people, keep an eye out because I want to talk to you after the show to whether I should do it tomorrow, Wednesday, or wait till next week during the expo and cover some stuff. Because that's midweek. It's not like the DJ Expo where the showroom opens up like second day. They wait a little bit later. So I want to talk and get your opinion on that and whether to cover the stuff then, because I have a feeling that there's going to be some more. There's definitely going to be hands-on some of the new equipment because the Pioneer already said that they're going to have both revs there. But who knows what else might be out that might need to be talked about. So keep an eye out. Either this Wednesday or next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Excellent. I think that's it, Dan.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you very much for taking time. Hopefully you loved the show. And there we go. Shady toss back. All right. But no, I do appreciate everybody. And we thank you very much for taking time out of your night to join us. Have yourself a great one. We'll see you next time.